They say every wave that breaks upon the shores of Lake Victoria carries a story, a whisper from the past, a tale of love, of loss, and of spirits that refuse to sleep. Tonight, we listen to one of those stories. This is the song of Obongo and Achieng in the heart of the Luo lands, where the sun rises like a golden tear over the vast expanse of Namlolo, lived Achieng. She was no ordinary girl. She was the daughter of a proud and powerful chief, her spirit as bright as the morning star. Every dawn, she would make her way to the water's edge, not just to fetch water, but to offer her voice to the world. And what a voice it was! It was said that when Achieng sang, the birds would fall silent, the papyrus reeds would sway in perfect time, and even the restless wind would pause, captivated by the pure, liquid melody that flowed from her heart. Her songs were prayers, filled with the hopes and dreams of a young woman on the cusp of life. One such morning, as the first rays of sunlight painted the water in shades of orange and pink, a young fisherman named Obongo was casting his nets. He belonged to a rival clan, his days spent wresting a living from the very same waters that Achieng serenaded. He had heard tales of the chief's daughter and her enchanting voice, but had dismissed them as village gossip, until now. As her song drifted across the misty surface of the lake, it wrapped around him, pulling him from his work. He looked up from his small, sturdy canoe, his eyes searching for the source of this divine music. And then he saw her, standing by the shore, robed in colors that rivaled the sunrise. Was Achieng in that single, breathless moment, as their eyes met across the shimmering water, the world seemed to stop. It was a gaze that transcended clan rivalries and the ancient feuds of their people. For Obongo, it was as if the sun had decided to descend from the sky and stand right before him. For Achieng, the sight of the strong, quiet fisherman stirred something deep within her soul. They didn't speak a word. Yet in that silent exchange, their hearts made a pact that their minds knew was impossible. A pact that defied generations of animosity. In that instant, they knew what the elders, with all their wisdom and traditions, would never permit: love. A forbidden love, born in a single glance between two rival clans on the shores of the Great Lake. The sun could witness their stolen glances, but only the moon was trusted with their secrets. Forbidden love has a way of finding the hidden paths, the secluded clearings, the moments stolen between dusk and dawn. But every night, under the watchful eye of a silver moon, they would meet in a secret cove, sheltered by ancient acacia trees. The world of their clans, with its rigid rules and bitter history, would melt away, leaving only the two of them. Obongo, a man of few words, found his voice through a different kind of music. He had spent days carving a flute from a piece of river reed, polishing it until it felt like an extension of his own breath, and each night he played it only for her. The melodies he created were not the songs of fishermen or warriors. They were the songs of his heart, telling Achieng of his devotion, his admiration, and the aching love he felt for her. Achieng would listen, her head resting on his shoulder, as the soft, haunting notes of the flute mingled with the gentle lapping of the waves and the chirping of crickets. She would share her own stories, her fears, her dreams of a world where their love didn't have to hide in the shadows. Under the soft glow of the moonlight, surrounded by the dance of 1,000 fireflies, their love blossomed. It was a fierce and beautiful thing, growing with the intensity of a fire sweeping through dry grass. Each secret meeting deepened their bond, weaving their souls together until they were inseparable. They believed their love was a world unto itself, a sanctuary no one could breach. But a fire that burns so brightly in the darkness cannot go unnoticed forever. Love that is forced into secrecy always, eventually, casts a long and dangerous shadow. In every story, there is a shadow, and in theirs it took the form of Achieng's own cousin. Her heart was a vessel of jealousy, soured by bitterness over a love she herself had lost. For weeks she watched Achieng, noticing the new light in her eyes, the secret smiles that played on her lips, the way she would slip away into the night. One evening, she followed her hidden behind a thicket of bushes. She witnessed the impossibly Ching, the chief's daughter, wrapped in the arms of Obongo, a man from the clan they considered their sworn enemies. She saw the flute. She heard the music, and she saw the love that passed between them, a love that she believed was a betrayal to their people. Her discovery became a weapon. With a heart full of venom, she ran to the village elders, her whispers carrying the weight of accusation and scandal. The news spread like a plague through the community. The chief Achieng's father was consumed by a rage that was equal parts shame and fury. That very night, as Obongo waited for Achieng by the lake, he was ambushed. The chief's warriors, their faces grim in the torchlight, descended upon him. They did not grant him a warrior's death. Instead, they beat him with clubs and the backs of their spears, leaving him broken and bleeding at the edge of the villager, brutal message to all who would dare defy the clan's laws. He was left for dead, but his spirit, fueled by his love for Achieng, refused to break. While Obongo lay broken, Achieng faced a different kind of prison. She was dragged back to her father's homestead and locked away in a hut, her songs silenced, her spirit crushed. The love that had been her greatest joy was now twisted into her deepest shame, an unforgivable insult to her family, her clan, and the very ancestors they worshipped. Her world of moonlight and music had been violently shattered, replaced by darkness, silence, and the unbearable weight of her family's dishonor. The Council of Elders convened around the sacred fire, its flames leaping into the dark sky as if hungry for justice. The air was thick with the scent of burning herbs and the low hum of incantations. They were the guardians of tradition, the interpreters of the ancestors' will, and they saw this forbidden love not as a simple transgression, but as a dangerous contamination, a spiritual poison that threatened the well-being of the entire clan. After hours of solemn deliberation, their verdict was delivered with the finality of a death sentence. The love between Obongo and Achieng was declared cursed. It was an abomination that had angered the spirits, a wound that, if left to fester, could bring drought, disease, and misfortune upon their people. To cleanse the community and appease the ancestors, a swift and cruel solution was decreed. Achieng was to be purified through a forced marriage. An alliance was arranged with a wealthy warrior from a friendly clan, a man she had never met, a man she could never love. Her fate was sealed, her heart to be sacrificed for the supposed good of her people. For Obongo, the punishment was exile. He was declared an outcast, banished from the lands of his birth, forbidden from ever again setting foot on the shores of the lake he called home. He was to wander the earth as a ghost, a man without a home, without a clan, and without his love. The elders believed they had severed the bond, that they had silenced the cursed song of their hearts, but they had underestimated one crucial thing: a love that is stronger than fear, stronger than law, and even stronger than a curse, cannot be silenced. The night before Achieng's wedding was a tempest. The sky, a canvas of bruised purples and angry greys, unleashed its fury upon the land. Thunder cracked like the breaking of a giant bone, and lightning tore through the darkness, illuminating the world in stark, fleeting flashes. It was a storm that mirrored the turmoil in Achieng's soul, as her guards dozed, lulled by the relentless drumming of the rain. She made her move. Slipping out of the hut that had become her prison, she ran, not knowing where she was going, only knowing she had to escape. And then, carried on a gust of wind, she heard it. Faint, but unmistakable, the mournful, desperate melody of a flute. It was Obongo's song, calling to her from the lake, a beacon in the raging storm. She followed the sound, her bare feet stumbling over rocks and roots, the cold rain plastering her clothes to her skin. She found him at their secret cove, standing at the edge of the churning water. He was a shadow of the man he once was, his body battered, but his eyes burned with the same love she had seen on that first morning. They didn't need words. They ran into each other's arms, a desperate, final embrace against the fury of the storm. In that moment, holding each other, they understood the terrible truth. There was no place for them in this world. They could not live in peace, and they could not live apart. Their love was too pure for a world so full of hate. And so they made a choice. Not of defeat, but of defiance. They chose an eternity together over a lifetime apart. Hand in hand, they looked at each other one last time, a silent promise passing between them. Then they turned and walked into the violent, stormy waves of Nam Lolo, the great lake, the cradle of their love, opened its arms and took them. And then they were gone. Years turned into decades, and the story of the star-crossed lovers faded into the mists of memory, becoming a legend whispered by elders to wide-eyed children. The feud between the clans eventually cooled like embers after a great fire, but the lake never forgot. Fishermen, casting their nets in the calm of a full moon night, began to report something strange. When the water is still as glass and the moon hangs like a polished pearl in the sky, a sound rises from the deep. It is a soft, ethereal melody, the clear, sweet voice of a woman, perfectly intertwined with the haunting notes of a wooden flute. They sing a song of a love that could not be broken, a love that chose the water over the land. They say it is Obongo and Achieng, their spirits forever bound. Their love story living on in the eternal song the lake still sings, carried by the wind for all to hear. Some songs never truly end. They don't die, they simply find new hearts to sing through, new ears to listen, and new waves to carry their melody across time. That was the song of Obongo and Achieng. Thank you for listening. If you were moved by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the heart of Africa.